whatever you have to do. However long it takes. Promise me you'll find your way home. Furiosa. Give me this promise.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
The darkest of angels. The question is, do you have it in you to make it epic?
Ladies and gentlemen, that being you and me, I am the Nightrider, I am the chosen one, the mighty hand of vengeance sent down to strike the unroadworthy. I am the warrior of the Wasteland, the Ayatollah of rock and roller, and you are here for Furiosa. What's up, cunt?
Furiosa! Sorry, I'm going to say, congratulations. That was excellent. Well done. Sorry, that was a great ad lib that just came out of nowhere. Well done for that one.
Technically not ad libs, they are lines that have come from previous Mad Max films.
Great. Thanks.
Yes.
Good remembrance thing. Good remember times. That's a good word burger you just gave me there, Q.
Anytime you want a dripping word burger soaked in gasoline, you know, I am here for you. I am the Black Fingers ready to lead you into salvation.
Well, strike me down, straight.
Bang it, etc.
What's that, Skip? Max has fallen down a well. Oh dear! Sorry, that was Tank Girl. That's a weird cross. Anyway, I'm getting all of my post-apocalyptic.
I like to
confused.
think that somewhere just off to the left,
yep,
you know, we've got Bullet Town, we've got Gas Town, and way off in the distance, there's Tank Girl with a bunch of mutant kangaroos.
Yeah,
they're doing their thing. And somewhere a little bit further over that way, there's just a vault. One lone, shitty Australian vault with a bunch of people in there who are just too fucking scared to come out.
Yep.
Give us the Tank Girl Furiosa crossover.
I
would be so there for that.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, my God.
There we go. Write it. Pitch it. Throw it. Go on.
Sure. Yeah. Be
Done
mildly more entertaining than this film was.
Straight out of the gates.
Jill's like a war boy leaping from the back of the party wagon with her sticks of doom to fucking destroy this movie straight out.
And nitrous in there, just, you know, getting the nos
High octane opinions.
High octane. Oh, good. There we go. Hooray!
Look, I'm going to preface this by saying, even though my feelings about this film are surprisingly tepid, I may have gone down a pretty fucking weird and deep rabbit hole of Mad Max related stuff. to the point where I was like, yeah, maybe I should watch Fury Road again. Yeah. Oh, maybe I should go back and watch Beyond Thunderdome. Maybe I should go and download the game of Mad Max that came out in 2015. So maybe I have immersed myself in this petrol-soaked wasteland, and I now have a slightly different opinion of some of Furiosa.
Right. Yes.
But there you go.
There you go. Look, I mean, hey. Well, first, okay, let's roll all this way back. What are we doing tonight? What are we talking about? If you can't already tell. Furiosa. Can we get the proper title, please?
Oh, sorry. Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga.
Great. Just like Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Yep.
And Obi-Wan Kenobi, a Star Wars saga, or some whatever the fuck this is. This is
At least they did.
This is very definitely marketed as Mad Max adjacent.
Yep.
And I'm going to say that specifically. It's marketed as Mad Max adjacent.
Right.
But it's a very interesting thing to go because, I mean, you know, what do we have? We had Mad Max. Then we had The Road Warrior, as it was titled in America, instead of Mad Max 2, like it should have been. And then we had Mad Max 3 or Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. And then we had Mad Max, Fury Road. And now we've had Furiosa. So, like, in this way of titling things, what's the next one going to be? To Fury to Osa?
I'd like it to be Mad Max Origins.
With Ryan Reynolds in it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Hugh Jackman?
Yeah.
Could it be Mad Max Adelaide Drift? Eventually we got all the way back and it's just called Max.
Yeah.
That's it.
Or just Mad.
Yeah. Just Mad.
Just Mad.
Or just
Max, but the X is big because it will be the 10th one.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm angry because it's so good.
Yeah.
5 more films to go before we can get there.
Oh, God.
Master and Blaster.
Yep.
A Mad Max story.
The weird thing, like in my kind of sort of look back into the retro history of Mad Max and so forth, I hit Beyond Thunderdome. Turns out Beyond Thunderdome, a surprisingly entertaining film, but also this is clearly from the period where George Miller had a real love affair with the saxophone. Like,
yeah,
it's a weird movie that is so 80s it hurts. Like it's got Tina Turner. And
how can you not have a weird love affair with a saxophone? You know, what was the first movie you remember seeing a saxophone in, Quinny?
Lost Boys.
Exactly. And did it ever get?
It's not the first movie I saw a saxophone in, but it's the only one that is burnt into my brain. Yeah,
because you still believe. Exactly.
I do.
That's the whole
still
point.
believe that is true.
No matter what happens. Exactly. And that guy could easily have been in Mad Max.
Oh, totally.
He was shirtless. He had a chain on.
He just needed a weird mohawk and some weird deformity, and away he went.
Yeah.
So Jill, tell me about you and Mad Max. How many of the other films have you watched? Or
one?
Okay.
Which one was that?
And that was Fury Road.
Oh.
I'm not a Mad Max person.
Okay.
That's okay.
It's too masculine. It's too rural Australian. It's
too real.
None of it has any appeal for me. And I only saw Fury Road because it was when I first started doing reviews and going to premieres and stuff. And so I went to it and I was like, what was that? I'm like, I don't get it. That was boring.
Yeah.
I hated it. They fucking drove to the middle of nowhere and then drove back again. Like, what was the point?
Well, that was Fury Road. That was kind of the circle of life.
That was the point of Fury Road.
I mean, but you're missing all the great things from the Mad Max eras, like, you know, Bruce Spencer's the Gyro Man.
That's his name. Bruce Spence as the aeronautically inclined person in 2 films.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
as two completely separate characters.
Yeah.
Like the only thing I have any vague interest in is maybe watching Beyond Thunderdome, but only because it has Tina Turner in it.
Yeah. I mean, and it's an interesting thing. Also, I kind of
And like, We Don't Need Another Hero was like a fucking moment. So
Oh yeah,
I would watch
100%
the movie
banger.
just for that.
I mean,
so.
However,
if you're worried
whilst
about
watching it,
if you're worried about light on plot stuff, I mean, I'm not sure I can recommend you going back to the first sort of ones, because the first one can be very long, and then the second one is kind of more actiony, and the third one is like, what the fuck are you doing?
Also, I have like no love for Mel Gibson, so
Sure.
yeah, well, yeah, and let me
Understandable.
tell you, in Beyond Thunderdome, Mel Gibson's hair is a whole fucking world of pain. Like,
okay.
Hey, you
It
leave
was-
all of that alone. Also, one thing that I really want to get about this is something that the Mad Max franchise completely that goes across is the quick drop into absolute societal carnage is so quick in this. So when you look
yeah.
at the timeline of it, it's like, oh, everything collapsed 9 years later. Literally roving gangs of motorcycle terrorists dressed as bondage freaks. It's like, what?
Is it actually said that it's 9 years? Where
No,
does it
it's
say
it's but you kind of, when you're picking it up and you look at the way, especially if you're following the film timeline as if it's like kind of close.
Oh,
You
right.
look at Max Rokitansky, who is still an employed member of the police force in the first one, and then by the second one, you're like, how long is this after? It's not too long. It could be maybe 10 years, but this is just gone into complete feralness. And where did they get all, like, where in the middle of Australia did they get all of the sparklingly white gridiron pads to use as outfits? And who
but that's your indicator of time.
and then
That's like, because they're still clean and white.
Yeah.
That means it's only been, I don't know, maybe 6, maybe 8 months.
I get it
So-
now, like 30 years later when I'm looking at it, and I was just sitting there going, how can these people have so, like, all have bodybuilder physiques in the future? And now I get it. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. They'll just rob like a protein warehouse. So
Yeah.
like some of the gangs just have shakes, and that's all they do. They just got all the protein shakes. So that's why they're the buff ones.
That's the only way that they get their liquid anymore. Like, they don't drink
Yeah.
don't drink water. They just have protein shakes and call each other bra a lot.
Yeah, and then you get into like Fury Road, where it literally protein shakes. That mother's milk. Oh yeah.
Ugh.
And in this one, at least I understand the crops that they were growing. Fucking cabbage.
Yes.
Anyway, that's
One thing that we know about the wasteland, that we know about this post-apocalypse, it fucking stinks.
Oh my
Like,
god, yeah.
There is
The farts are
no-
going to be off the chain.
Yeah, it's protein. it's fucking cabbage. It's dead animals. It's dead bodies.
well, there's no animals. That's the thing.
Oh, there are dogs
They're
occasionally.
birds.
Well, wasn't it like, oh, it was like lizard and blood sausage, my lord? You forgot about that one, didn't you?
I had completely forgotten Angus as the fucking what was he?
Quasimodo,
The-
organic
Oh
mechanic.
no, there's a different one.
No, the
He's-
organic mechanic?
Organic mechanic, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I remember vaguely being aware of Mad Max 1 and 2, and then, like most of us, Mad Max 3, because it was in that 80s period where it was like, oh yeah, the song and Tina Turner and Angry Anderson and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Fuck, I
I don't
forgot
think
Angry
I saw it in-
Anderson's in it.
yeah.
Yeah.
What did I watch some of today? Yeah, Who Run Bartertown?
Fine.
Yeah. But yeah, like I went back and tried to watch Mad Max a few years ago as a part of the cult movie thing that we were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very different film.
Yes.
It doesn't, like, I remember trying at one point to work out when did the apocalypse happen, because the first film is relatively normal, then the second film is apocalypse, and I'm like, when did that happen?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking
Never
about.
explained.
Like, you know, society feels like it's collapsing. No, that's just rural Australia. And then it's like, oh, society's collapsed and everything's a desert now. It's like, wow, okay, that's in Cooper Pedy. And then by Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, you're like, holy shit, that was a quick devolve.
What I find interesting is looking back at these things is how much of I guess the apocalyptic visions of the future that we have seen are basing so much of it on Mad Max.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
the pretty much all of the raiders and shit like that you see in Fallout,
Yep.
they're all just Mad Max guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give George Miller, he has a very strong aesthetic for his vision, and this is something that he has cultivated for decades, and it really has had an influence on the post-apocalyptic zeitgeist. I mean, we look at Miracle Workers, season 4 was literally Mad Max.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has touched the hearts and minds of people all around and given us a lot of the current apocalypse sort of stuff that we have today. Like, because it's a consistent theme. It's like everyone is feral. They're just wearing whatever they can, and it's a distinctive look. And it was counterculture. It's interesting.
And the thing that I think that makes the Mad Max ones interesting, and I think what he probably realized he had to do, because when you create the zeitgeist, or you create that style, then you have to push past it, because you can't just keep doing it. And I think what Dr. Miller, whatever, I just find it interesting because everybody who's ever worked with him calls him Dr. Miller. And I'm like,
is he a doctor? Does he have a doctorate?
I don't know.
No, he's a GP.
Or is it just a...
No, he was a GP.
Oh, okay.
An ED and a GP. Like, he's a doctor, like a real doctor.
Sure.
That's why he made Mad Max, because he was seeing all of the road trauma injury stuff, and he's like, that's what he wrote it about.
Wow.
Yeah. Did you know this?
That's cool.
No.
I did not know that.
There you go.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. But yeah, like, he's then gone, okay, well, what's the new thing? How do I take this further? And the way you take it further is to say, okay, let's make the cult of the car. Like Mad Max is very much about the cars, and then Road Warrior, okay, we're still talking about the roads. So every time I feel like he's having to push it further and go, okay, let's fetishize cars. Let's lean in
Amongst
heavier.
other things.
Amongst everything. Exactly.
Amongst body horror, like
Yeah. Sorry, fashion shit behind me. No. Yes. I had to I went looking because I was like, I know just off screen I had something.
Is it a fake nose?
No.
That's from Fury Road. That was from the Fury Road premiere, because I've got one too.
Yeah, and I was like, I remember having this and going, holy shit.
Yeah.
20. So yeah, there you go. Useless shit that is just off screen.
Yep.
Okay. Do we need to talk about a synopsis? Have we given the basis of where Mad Max is at?
Yes,
enough?
let's tell people what this one was about.
Yes, Furiosa about.
What was Furiosa about, Queenie?
This is the first time.
What accent are you going to do?
It's the first time that I can do it in a natural Australian accent and be completely on fucking point. But
really,
I don't know. Do you want it in a different accent?
Yeah, Old English, thanks.
No, you have to do Furiosa's little friend, Valkyrie.
Oh no!
Can you do it?
Oh jeez! Yeah, you've got it. This is where it's going.
Yeah.
Yeah. History man. There, that was the one from the chat.
Oh right.
Namibian.
I don't know. History man was just the old actor.
That was
guy.
a normal voice.
Yeah, I was going to say just
a normal voice.
Old Australian guy who's just like. So we want Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to need a little loop.
Doing Furiosa.
Uh,
Do I have a musical accompaniment?
What
Tim?
about? Yes, you have got one. You got the good old doof music playing in the background. Oh, look, my second vote is: could you do it as Scrotus?
I can't even remember what he sounded like in it.
Just think Cro-Magnon. You can get it there.
Oh,
no, Bruce Spence. There's a vote for Bruce Spence.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You know what? It doesn't matter now. Just go. Just please tell us what Furiosa is about.
Okay. Yeah, you asked for it.
Yeah.
As the world fell, Furiosa was snatched from the green place of many mothers and falls into the hands of the great biter horde led by the warlord Dr. Dementus. Sweeping through the wasteland, they come across the citadel presided over by the Immortan Joe. While the two tyrants war for dominance, Furiosa must survive every trial as she puts together the means to find her way home. Fuck, I hate me now.
I love that.
Yeah.
I can't see the chat, so I don't know how disappointed they are.
No.
Yeah. Only as disappointed as Dion is.
Yeah, I'm not disappointed, Quinny. I'm just sad.
I'm just angry.
yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Right. How do we review this one? This is a difficult one for me to review, considering that I have a troubled past with Fury Road, and then I had a troubled past with this one.
Why did Fury Road come and beat you at night or something? What's your troubled past?
Mad Max Fury Road, I kind of got on the train and then I fell off the train, and then I watched it again recently and I was like, oh, I'm kind of on the train again. And in this one, I was a little bit off the train, and then I kind of got on the train. And there's a lot too many. Maybe I watched Snowpiercer. There's too many trains.
I was going to say, why are there trains? This is just cars. It's only cars.
Yeah, that's an apology. I mean, it's an interesting film, and I feel like I've seen people talk about, hey, if you wanted to do a double feature, you should do Furiosa, and then straight into Mad Max Fury Road. And
I would say that you could do that, but you would just not watch the fucking credits of Furiosa.
Yeah, well, that was something I was going to hold for the spoilers, but it doesn't really do it. There's interesting choices. I can't say they're bad. They're just interesting choices because, all in all, they're two very interesting matched films that have good parts in them, and I feel like there's a lot of good stuff in Furiosa that I enjoyed, and the world building was kind of interesting, but it bored me for some reason. I kind of got tired of it. But in Fury Road, I thought it was good, and then I kind of realized it goes on for too long. And then when I went back and watched it again recently, I was like, actually, this is a lot of, there's a lot of continuous, a lot of stuff, and I feel like that they were written at the same time, or they were imagined at the same time, and then it was cherry picked into two different things. But yeah, I mean, now I can't look at them without bookending them, and that's an interesting kind of place to be in. Does that make sense?
What about you, Jill?
I gotta say, I was surprised that there was more of a narrative in this movie than I found in Fury Road. So I was actually felt a little bit more compelled by the characters in this film. I was like, oh, okay, maybe I do give a shit about Furiosa. We get to see what her whole deal was. And there were some parts where I kind of felt like, oh, geez, this is taking a long time to get to the point. And then when we kind of did get there, I'm like, this still feels like this has got another hour left in it. So it was a bit long. I feel like there's probably a lot of stuff that kind of just dragged.
A friend of mine actually said, oh, I think it could have been an hour longer. And I was like, are you fucking drunk?
Oh, my God. Look, when it started and it was chapter 1, I'm like, oh, fucking here we go. And it was all a little bit art housey in the beginning as well, with a bit of black and white and some fading in and out and some weird arty shots of fucking magpies and shit. And I'm like, George, what the fuck is this? Just make your trashy Road Warrior movie. Can we just get to the point? There was entirely too much of the Chris Hemsworth plot, in my opinion.
Too much of all of the Dementor stuff, and not.
Yeah, I mean, I get that he was the main antagonist that pushed her to become who she was. I get that. But I don't know. I just don't think this movie was for me, honestly.
No,
you can
It's a
pull it
strange thing.
apart. I can, yeah.
I kind of get why she's angry with him, but I don't get, like, he's not the worst person in the film.
No.
No.
And he doesn't do the work. Like, I mean, yeah, sure, killing your mum in front of you, fine.
Yeah, but like
understand.
turning it into a Kill Bill storyline was just like there are a million other people in this story that are just as bad as Dementus. Like, why does it have to singularly be about getting revenge against him?
And my friend Matthew, who I love a great deal, his argument for why it should be an hour longer, and I was like, fuck no, was, and I agree with one of the things he said. The one thing that we didn't get, that I think we sort of miss, is the whole thing of Furiosa doing bad things, because by the time she gets to Fury Road, she feels that
Yeah.
she needs to atone for something. She feels like she has sins that she needs to, be absolved of.
Right.
There's none of that. Like
No.
and I also really didn't like the fact that the film bookends right up to Fury Road, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no. Give us an ending that gives us 5 years or 10 years between
Yeah.
that and that.
Mm.
But leading it right up to it, I was like, oh, no, because now we've got fucking nothing to do.
Yeah, but there's nothing in this story that could say that she had any blame in what was happening around her. She was a victim in this story.
Mm. Yeah, and that's, to me, not where the character was. Like,
Mm.
I think you need to have seen her make some pretty fucking bad choices, or, she's rolling with Joe and that crew for however long. She's got to have made some bad choices, but as it is, she's like just kind of gone along for the ride and had a few fights with some people and taken it out on Dementors.
Mm.
I mean, it's sorry, we're kind of jumping
Yeah.
all around the narrative here, so I am
It's-
aware that if you're trying to go spoiler free, sorry.
Yeah. Wait till we get to the spoiler section, Quinny. We
Mm.
do have that. You can't just go straight ahead. You can't just burn all your nitrous straight away. You'll burn out your engine, and then you've
Yes,
got nothing
you're
left for the
right.
second half. The interesting thing I think about these two Mad Max films, even though they definitely have Mad Max in them, they do not feel like films about Mad Max, either of them. If you go back and you watch it again, I know that Mad Max is in Fury Road, like literally in there, but the film is not about him. Like,
Exactly.
it's not, and that's not very, and that whole storyline is kind of backwards and not really that interesting. And in this one, it's even kind of more removed, and I feel like it did a bit of a disservice to say a Mad Max story.
It's a Mad Max Saga.
Saga,
It's,
well, whatever you want to call it,
it's part of the thing that builds that narrative.
It felt like that, but I mean, this could have. It felt like that they're throwing other things in there, and I got confused about which one I was supposed to be going to see and why am I seeing these things. It's like, hey, do you want to learn about Mad Max? Kind of. Well, we're not doing any of that. Which is also...
I'm sorry, but I will say the film is called Furiosa, and I went in not expecting to have anything of Mad Max in there at all. I was not expecting any Mad Max in this.
Oh, and I'm okay with that. That's okay. But all I'm saying is it's just about... it's having a hard time divorcing itself from that kind of part. Does that make sense?
What I was weirded out by with my non-expectation of having any Mad Max in there was having a quasi Mad Max who wasn't really Mad Max.
Exactly. Yeah. The Wish brand Mad Max. Praetorian
Karina
Jeff.
makes a really good
That's
point.
what I gotta call
It could have just been called Furiosa. It didn't have to be called a Mad Max saga other than...
That's just to let idiots know that it's set in the same universe.
Exactly.
Otherwise, they're gonna be like, "Who's that? I don't get it."
I don't know who Furiosa is. Okay, well then don't go and say watch the fucking movie. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, cool. But I mean, they could have also driven past the Statue of Liberty poking up outside of the sand, and they wouldn't have got the reference. But and also, it's set very definitely in the middle of Australia. I do like that they just kind of went, no, this is all happening in Australia, and I'm like, wow, this is not a place you want to go in the apocalypse.
Well,
It's
and
shit.
I find that interesting because in the other, like in Fury Road, you really didn't have a particularly clear indication that this was meant to be Australia, apart from a few Australian accents. Whereas this, it regrounds it and says, no, this is very
Yeah,
definitely
this
Australia.
is 100% in Australia, which is like, okay, fine.
Hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah. What were the like? Okay, things that didn't work for me, and and I would like this to be an open floor as to things that didn't work for you.
Mm.
But I will raise the flag right now. Some of the CGI was shithouse.
There was a scene in the very beginning where a woman jumps on the back of the horse, and I'm like, that looked so bad.
Yep. There's a bit where
That it was giving me Harry Potter 1. Like that's how awful it was.
there was a point where all of the biker horde rock up to the Citadel to basically tell Immortan Joe that they're going to take over, and then there's all these swinging hooks that are used to try and take out the guys on bikes. Holy shit! It was just laughably bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, it's got its problems.
There were a few sequences where the CGI was like beyond ropey.
And
Like,
also,
it was
like,
shithouse.
there's some ways that things move that don't make sense, like from a fundamental point. Like, what's one of the cool things about Mad Max? The style and the design, and the fact that it looks like you've taken a junkyard and put it on and made it work again, and done really cool things. And in a lot of this, there's a fair bit too much clean, and then there's a fair bit too much of things that work a little bit too nicely.
What sort of thing do you mean?
You know, like they've got the war rig, this version of the war rig, which is all shiny and chrome, and a little bit too new and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but everything's still fucked up. Like, I don't know where you got that much chrome from. Old things that are lying around that they've got working again, like giant, you know, cranes and stuff. You're just like, well, really? Like, I'm not sure that that'd work. Because it's not set too far away from Mad Max Fury Road, where everything is fucked. You know, so I'm just a little bit like, oh, I don't know where I am at the moment.
Yeah,
and also the bike thing was weird, like his tri-bike kind of chariot.
How did it even work?
Yeah, exactly. You know, like you cannot like turn.
You can't control 3 motorbikes tied together like horses on a chariot without being able to like actually start the bikes.
Yeah.
He was literally just holding on to them with a chain. I'm like, it doesn't work.
And then they start up and they run off, and it's like, how?
Yeah.
I mean, at one point they had a guy that literally was lying on the middle one, and I thought, oh, is that guy just there permanently as the guy who starts up the bikes?
Yeah.
But it was.
I do feel like there are a lot of things in this one where they were like, let's do it for cool sake. Whereas if you go back and you look at Fury Road, there was a lot of thought put into everything. And like, even though some of it was, you know, pretty fucking ridiculous, the logic behind why things happened generally made sense. Like, you know, there was always cause and effect. Whereas in this one, I felt like there was a lot of times where it's just like, we're doing this because it looks cool.
Yeah, a little bit rule of cool for the like, oh, this will look great. And like, to be honest, I really enjoyed some of the design styles and ideas that they pulled out with it. Especially the biker horde. Some of the characters in there looked great. Like that was, I felt like I had a really great time being introduced to the biker horde at the start. And I'm like, all of them seem to be minor characters that I'm going to get to know the names of. And then as it progressed through the thing, I was like, oh, we've just dropped them all. They've all gone away. They all look like they had a story, and now they don't have any story. And that was kind of a bit sad. Because it's all focused on Furiosa. And then we get introduced to different people, i.e. like the Preatorian guy, whatever his name is, Preatorian Jack, who you're like, oh, okay, we're following this guy now. Okay, I see what's going on. Oh, no, we're back and we're referencing this guy. Oh, here's another person that came, like a bullet farmer. Oh, I remember. They're like, all these people I saw from these other ones have come back. And I kept going, I don't know where to go, but my one through line is Furiosa. So I'll just stick with her and see how she's going. And at times I was like, I don't know if she's got a strong, I don't know. I'm losing her motivation. I don't know why she's doing this stuff. You know?
Jill, I've seen a few people kind of going, hey, I don't think Anya Taylor-Joy was strong enough for this. like, and I'm not sure whether that's just angry dudes being dickheads on the internet or anything like that. What about you? Did you feel that she had the chops?
Um, I oh God, I don't know. This is so hard. It's hard for me to be objective of this movie when I just don't care enough. And I don't know if that is the fault of the actors or just I'm not interested in this or what. I mean, she has a great stoicism about her, and I think that she portrayed that quite well. I don't understand how her character grew up Australian and then she couldn't do an Australian accent for when it was Anya at like halfway through the movie. I'm like, thanks for not trying.
But that's okay because Charlize didn't have an Australian accent either. So
Yeah, so then give with a kid an American accent, like
yeah,
shit like that about the characterization kind of threw me off. I think like I don't know, the look was good, the action was good, I guess. I just don't feel like it was really a story that was well, probably wasn't at all written from a female perspective. It was just like, what are we going to do that looks cool? The dead giveaway for that is that they're saying that Fury Road, she's trying to atone for whatever guilt she's got, and I'm like, okay, well, you didn't pay that off in this story because she didn't do anything wrong. She was a fucking victim of the men around her. So why are you trying to paint her as somebody that's rueful? Like I don't get it. I just don't get it. I think she's just poorly written and yeah, it kind of kills me. I don't think it's any fault of Anya. I think she's a fantastic actress. I've enjoyed her in many other films. I just don't think that this is the strong female character everybody thinks it is. Just because she looks tough and does cool things doesn't mean that she is a strong female character.
yeah. Missy's getting upset about the fact we're talking about guilt. We're talking about her guilt in Fury Road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
not in this one.
The where the character ends up, not where she is in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it is that kind of way. This one is very heavily, you're right, leaning into this. She looks cool doing it, and she's got good reasons to do it. Like, she's a survivalist. We learn about her. We see what she has to do to survive and grow up, and how does she get to that point where she's someone of note within a society that's, fucking ruthless. And how do you get to that sort of point? I really liked that, and I thought Anya was great. But yeah, you're right there. It's pointing out, it's like, how did she get an accent change? How does all of this go? Because like, if there was anything that it should have thematically carried through, is that she should have got a worse Australian accent if she'd been hanging out with Chris Hemsworth, who was just eating scenery very hard like some sort of bogan toucan with his false nose and inability to I mean, I can't understand that. Why the Chris Hemsworth Dr. Dementus is an interesting character, because I couldn't figure out if he was insane or a genius who played off being insane. Because
sorry, just before we get into that, the chat is pointing out that we are possibly mistaken about what her motivations are in Fury Road. I gotta say, I don't fucking know, because I don't remember, because I hated the movie. So I apologize if what we've said is incorrect. It makes sense that I don't see that guilt storyline in this film. And yes, I understand that, it's all about empowerment and she's trying to rescue these women that are just there to be bred. I totally get that. I just don't think that she's a well-written character. So, but yeah, back on the Dementus thing. Yeah. Chris Hemsworth just taking character roles now, it seems.
Which, I mean, I don't know whether I prefer that to his like broad comedy stuff or his, heroic kind of thing.
I mean, it's better than Men in Black International.
Oh, Fuck.
So, like,
Oh,
you know,
oh.
Yeah.
And that bit in Ghostbusters. That one.
I enjoy Chris playing Himbo. I think it's funny because he's leaning into it. Yeah, this is just. I
Yeah.
don't think I have any opinions anymore about this movie, guys. I'm more and more we talk about it, the more and more I just don't fucking care.
he's just struggling
I
hard.
really
with it.
just shouldn't. I really just shouldn't even be here.
Well, maybe we can rate it.
Sure.
And then if you want to, you could have a dinner or something like that, and Dion and I'll go off on. I think because I've still got there's a whole lot of stuff that I am interested in
Is it-
because
is
I
it-
have kind of gone down
is it
this
spoilery?
crazy fucking rabbit hole.
This is spoiler. Let's get it. Let's just do it. Come on, we'll go to give it a quick rating, and then we'll come back in and spoil. And Jill can just opt out. You know,
Yeah,
she can
You are allowed.
she can fury nope.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, saving Jill's for last because I just can't know straight away. I will jump down the rabbit hole of this. Look, it's very long. It made me sigh a little bit occasionally because it was too long, and I was like, okay, I understand this. I want to go, and then I did enjoy it all when it started to ramp up and she started to become like find her way in society. I really loved the backstory of her as a child and what happened there, but I'm not sure. Like some of the jokes didn't work. Some of the action pieces were exciting and great, but I don't think that they had the kind of gravitas as much as Fury Road, because I did go back and watch that again just to sort of bookend it. And like Fury Road is just an onslaught of action that goes forever, and there isn't much plot. This one has a lot of plot and a lot of understanding, and a lot of character stuff. Well, more than Fury Road. So Furiosa is actually, I think, a more interesting film because it has more to sort of digest, and it's not as reliant on the stunts and the stoic thing. So I'm gonna say I probably had like a 75 out of 100 for it, but that was just me.
That's fair. I'm really struggling to work out where I fell with it because there were so many moments that I was like, this is, at the time I'm watching it, sorry, cars being loud outside. I was like, this is tedious, or this bit's going too long, or fuck me, that CGI is terrible. But then there were moments where they'd hit like its stride and do an action beat that I was like, oh Jesus fucking Christ. The bit where they've got like all of these dudes on motorbikes and then the dudes in the wingsuit, or not wingsuits, but like the little flying dudes attacking things. And I was like, fuck, this is really entertaining. And I like Fury Road. Like rewatching it again, I know it doesn't go anywhere and I know it doesn't have a point, but the point of it is that I think he's like, I just want to make a fucking 90-minute action sequence. And who can, if that's what you want to do, that's what it is. It doesn't try and be much else. So yeah, I found myself kind of on board for bits of it and then way off for other bits. And there were bits that felt like they just didn't need to be there. And like characters that I was like, why do we need to have Preatorian Jack, who just looks like, the Mad Max you got at Wish? Does she need to have a relationship in there? I don't know, probably not. Yeah, and as I said, I had a real problem with where it ends up. I would have liked for there to be more left for us to fill in the blanks. 70, 75? Same as Dion. I really don't know. Like, yeah. Jill?
I've just been reading the chat while you guys were talking and giving your ratings. I feel like with the Dementus character, like the name says it all, like Dementus, right? He was kind of like this dumb guy that somehow had all of these dudes that like followed him, and he was the leader of this bike gang, but they never really did anything. And then once he loses Furiosa, to Immortan Joe, he kind of somehow becomes this cunning guy that's managing to take all of these properties from Joe, and he's like somehow now trying to like take over the Citadel and stuff, and he has like all of this brain power behind him, and he's able to do all these things and like outsmart people. That was a bit bizarre, that character development for me. I also feel like Furiosa herself, if this whole movie she was a man, it would have had the exact same impact for me. There was just nothing about her being a woman in this movie that said to me, yay, girl power, oh my god, she's like making changes for women in this world. It was a revenge story for her. Like there was nothing in it that was like female empowerment. It was just all of this stuff that was happened to be done by a woman instead of a man. So that didn't really have any kind of aspect for me in the movie either. I really I enjoy that it has a strong aesthetic. I like that it knows what it's about. I think some of the costuming choices were maybe a bit on the nose, bit too obvious this time, especially with like Dementus's cape, his parachute cape that like changes color throughout the film to denote his different stages in his, I don't know, diabolical career. Yeah, just some obvious fashion notes, that kind of stuff.
I feel like Dr. Dementus is just a Twitch streamer name that he stole.
I mean, it kind of is.
Like there's some interesting choices costume wise. The history man, his outfit was quite interesting. I enjoyed looking at that, and the close detailing on it was quite lovely. But I just don't have any strong feelings about the movie, so I'm just gonna do a fence sit and just put it down at a 60.
Okay.
Yeah, fair cop.
Of course, to anyone in the chat, Predicanga, you've dropped your number. But please put them in there with your number out of 100 so I can see it, so I can add it to the thing. I know that Missy has some opinions,
sure.
and we would love to have her
I
number.
love that there are people in this chat, Missy included, that absolutely love this movie and got so much out of it. And I love that we can all have different opinions. Like,
yeah,
it's fine.
absolutely.
This movie was made for you. You enjoyed it, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I have found interesting is looking at the discussion about it online, it seems to be very, very polarizing. Like people are either like 5 stars, this is the best fucking thing since sliced bread. This is a return to form, and this is another Fury Road, and it's everything. Or other people going, it's boring, it's tedious, the characters didn't interest me, it's too long, and it doesn't. And I love that.
Yeah, I mean, at this moment in our life, all of us were looking for something, and either we got it or we didn't, and that's fine.
It sort of reminds me a little bit, and this is just slightly off topic, but this week's Doctor Who, 73 Yards, which I've seen so many people have the same thing, where people either fucking love it or hate it because it leaves it open to you. And I think it's all about what you bring to it, and if you and. I've got this weird thing with it now where I'm like, I don't particularly enjoy Furiosa. I thought it was fine, but it's opened me up to a whole thing of the Mad Maxi verse, where I'm like suddenly really enjoying certain elements of it and the world building, and going, I love the idea of the history man, and in the game, you get even more world building, where they talk about characters who are called the Black Fingers. So Black Fingers are just mechanics, and they've got black fingers because they're always covered in grease and shit. They're a particular sect. They have their own beliefs and all that kind of stuff. And I really love this kind of deep world building. Is any of that in Furiosa? Yeah, probably some. But you know what?
Well,
should we have a clip?
Yes, let's go to a clip, and we can see a little bit of the later on Anya and old Dr. Dementus. Maybe be Dementia Dementus. There we go.
Remember me.
fabulous thing. You crawled out of a pitiless grave deeper than hell. Only one thing's gonna do that for you. Not hope. Hate. No shame in hate. It's one of the great forces of nature. That wasn't hope, that was instinct.
That was a little bit of the old Chris Hemsworth still trying to be a rapscallion when confronted by his ex-daughter-ish thing that has grown up into the Furiosa that we know and love, complete with her tiny little chainsaw motor on her arm. Which was a note from the original one, which never got used, and then they finally used it in this one. I understand that. Now, I need to put up the spoiler logo. I made a special spoiler logo for this one. There we go. The spoiler... Yes. Witness spoilers.
I just put it over Jill's face. She wants out.
No, I moved it up a little away from that.
No, that's completely fair.
And I hope someone also noticed the Dinky Die dog food in the background of the show.
Thank you.
Yes.
Or as the voice actor for Chum Bucket in the game calls it, all the way through Dinky D, and it drives me fucking spare. Like, it is a game that is made by a very, mostly Australian crew, as a whole heap of Australian voice actors. They've got the voice actor for Mad Max is Australian. And
how did they not give that guy any notes?
That's what does my fucking head in. Like, he's the main character that you talk to all the way through the game. He is your little offsider. And the fact that he keeps calling it Dinky D all the way through, I'm just like, Jesus.
I mean,
how?
We can't go into this too. The game is a separate thing. And I have not played the Mad Max game, but I feel like I want to go and play the Mad Max game.
If you enjoy the sound of loud V8 engines and driving around the dirt a lot, it's a lot of fun.
You know me, Quinny. I'm down for that all the time. Every weekend I'm down at the race track watching the cars do the roundabout thing, listening to the V8
What I find
octane.
interesting about this is that Miller has picked up on a part of Australian culture that I think is one of the few parts of Australian culture that I think is kind of unique. And I know that there are rev heads all over the world, but the weird fetishization of cars and the bogan rev head culture, I think is fascinating to see extrapolated beyond the apocalypse. And I think it's one of the reasons that to me, Thunderdome doesn't work perhaps as well, is because
they got rid of it.
There's no cars.
Oh.
So yeah, basically by the time you get to quick one there, sorry, Jill. By the time you get to Thunderdome, most of the gasoline has been exhausted and it's very rare.
Okay.
So basically, Max's doesn't have a car, or he has a car, but it's pulled by camels. And so the high octane kind of adventure was not about that in the third one. It's just more about, this Mad Max no longer has a car. Well, that's fucking
It's about
boring.
pig shit.
Yeah.
It's literally a movie about pig shit. But anyway.
And then they come back and now it's all about cars and revving and doing things and you know, it's a holy triumvirate of gasoline, bullets, and I don't know, food.
People.
That's
what the Citadel is really there for. It's about people. It's about warmongering. And they've got water, but they've also got the most number of people that they can throw at problems.
Right. I don't know. Look, there's a whole bunch of explanation about who Immortan Joe was and where he came to. It's written in comics.
Is it? I've never read them.
I know, right? See, sometimes people will be asking, why didn't we see the Immortan Joe, backstory? It's I think they did that in comics. But Furiosa is an interesting side. Also, I want to know what happened to the Green Place, and I want to find out where Dementus came from and why he suddenly has a bunch of people who can fly, and why has he got a roving motorcycle horde, and where do they get their stuff from? Actually,
the characters who I liked the most were the ones who were on Dementus's crew, the dude
Yeah.
with the horns on his helmet,
Yeah.
all in black. I want to know more about that dude. I actually don't give a fuck about Dementus. I think he was kind of annoying. I was done with him by the end of the film, but I was like, oh, I want to know more about that guy and his cool motorbike dudes who also have like flying fucking fans and shit like that.
I mean, like that was cool. That's what I said. You're introduced to them at the start, and you're like, oh, interesting, and then they just go away, and you're like, oh, okay, bye, and then they come back for a little bit, like, oh, they're no longer on the side now. They're on someone else's side. They're against these people. They're against Dementus. What the fuck is going on?
No, they went rogue because Dementus was a fucking idiot, wasn't he?
Can I talk? Well, yeah. Oh, because Dementus was killing his own. Oh, fuck off.
Karina's made a really nice point in the chat that anyone under the age of 35 will not get the reference. But if we had seen Eric Bana in this movie as Poiter,
why wasn't he? Should have been one of Dementus's crew.
He should have been like exactly. He should have been like one of the lead mechanics or whatever in the Citadel. Get Poiter onto it.
Get Poiter.
I tell you what, if you go back and watch like Beyond Thunderdome or whatever, the amount of like 80s Australian TV stars who show up is fucking amazing, including George from Play School.
Can I talk about one thing?
Well, like, did Full Frontal ever do a Mad Max spin-off with Poiter? Like, I feel like that would have been a prime skit. I can't believe that
would have been amazing.
Never happened.
But one thing I do want to say that I was annoyed by, and Quinny, you're annoyed by other things, but one thing that really annoyed me was the slight cameo of having Mad Max in there. Like that just shat me. You know, you've firmly established that Furiosa is a very strong and determined person who tears her own arm off basically and runs, you know, almost all the way home, only to be just rescued at the end there by what we can expect to be called Max, who kind of rescues her and then fucks off again. And I'm like, that was completely unnecessary. She should have made it all the way. It was unnecessary,
and it was a weird bit of the film too, because I was like, what happened there? Like it felt like here's Max in the distance looking at her, and now she's in a corpse hole, or you know, and I was like, so did we not want to? Was there a scene with Max that we cut out? Is this why she has a thing for Preatorian Jack? Because she likes dudes in leather. I don't think she likes. I don't think she likes dudes at all. But it also doesn't matter. Why did they have to have some sort of love story in this? We don't like, and it's not even as if it is a love story. It's more about, you know, respect respect and like it's not about that at all. And also, I look at this and just go, oh god, the whole idea of love and relationships in this wasteland is just fucking hell on earth. Like, that's just terrifying. Oh, so Missy said talking about the death corpse, the holes. So that's something else that I'd forgotten about.
What?
Maggot farming.
Yeah.
Like, because maggots are a source of protein, and that's what a lot of people eat.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I'd forgotten that particular fucking gross piece of
but that's how they get so buff.
It's
you know, bloody Dementus having his one blood and lizard sausage a day doesn't keep him in the, you know, the stadium, unless he was a pro wrestler or something.
You don't get gains like that without eating a lot of protein.
Yeah, exactly. And
Dion, you know this now.
There's only so much.
Understand the power of protein.
There's only so much mother's milk you can drink, which, you know, we also have to understand that that's still a thing, and it's just like, fuck.
Still creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was nice to see a little bit of the background of the Citadel and seeing how that kind of operates, and understanding that Immortan Joe's brother used to run Gastown, and was a freak, and that everyone's a freak in the wasteland, and that's okay.
Who was the brother? The brother's dead.
The painting.
Right?
The painting.
Yeah.
Who was up in there, and that's his brother, which we've
Mortal Joe.
Yes, Mortal Joe. Perfect. No notes. I like some of that sort of stuff, but it felt a little bit like, okay, where are we going? Who are we following? What are we supposed to be doing here? If it's in chapters, it's skipping around. Like, help me understand the why. I like that there's still a bit of mystery about it, even after Furiosa. It doesn't explain everything. Like, how did they get there? But I'm also like, how long is this taken? I'm still unsure. Like, is when did the apocalypse happen? How long and before we got to this place where we are now? Is it 10 years after the apocalypse? Is it 20 years after the apocalypse? There's a lot of organizing.
The wives who are asking who killed the world. That was in the next film. That was the question that they painted on the wall after they left.
Oh.
Who killed the world?
Who killed the world?
Yeah, I gotta say, I know Lockie Holm did as good a job as he could, but the Immortan Joe, I don't know, something about Hugh Keats Burns that, like, he just felt like a different level of fucking crazy. But also, having met Hugh, he was a different level of fucking crazy. Yeah. There was something like Shakespearean about that guy that I don't think this guy quite got.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's pretty hard to you can't resurrect the dead yet, Quinny. No matter how fast AI is trying to do that, we're not going to have that back again. But I mean, the story's not really about them. I want to know about Furiosa. Furiosa, and she wanted to get back. I mean, I love. Okay, here's the thing that shat me. Well, not shat me. It didn't shat me. She spent that whole time. There was that whole concurrent theme that was running through where she was tattooing the map back to her home on her arm, the green place. And I love that whole idea. And then, I was like, this is how she gets her arm cut off. Like, she's basically, someone's going to go, holy shit, that's a map. And then they're going to cut it off. And then that's how it all kind of happens. And in the end, it doesn't happen that way. And nothing happens to it. It's completely pointless. And it made me just
It really just kind of like there was a thread there that they completely ignored because they're like, yeah, she's tattooing this so she can eventually get home. That is the whole point of her wanting to stay alive so she can return home. And then she has to cut that arm off. And then they don't talk about it ever again.
Yeah. 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 And I mean, it also kind of does mean that there is now, I mean, the arm, I guess, is probably munted by now, but technically there was a map just hanging around, literally hanging from the back of a ute.
Yeah.
Maybe it
was
dried,
a whole
but it's a map.
like plot point that has just been completely lost.
Yeah,
I agree. And now I think about that, that really, like, that's the kind of thing that could have, to me, heightened it a little bit more of making more at stake. Because I know that we know that in the next film they're going to go and have this long chase sequence, which then goes there and then comes back again. Yeah. But it would have been a little bit nicer to feel like there was more at stake in terms of finding the green place and it being in actual peril.
Yeah, but, I mean, and also, I can't. Also, the arm was just lying around, like just waiting for someone to come put it on, and I was like, wait. No, there's a cool story about the arm, and in the end, the arm is like, oh, she found it in the workshop. That was attached to someone else on a wheelchair.
I would have liked to have seen somebody try and, I don't know, learn how to build it for her.
Yeah, I mean, there was even an interesting. There was a good explanation in Army of Darkness 3. Learning how to build, and they did a montage. And this one is like, oh, there's a spare arm on this wheelchair. Done. Moving on. And
annoyingly, like they also introduced a character from the game. As like just in a tiny little bit, and even though Miller has been pretty clear about not liking the game, there's a character in there who's so Dinky D, the character that says that, turns up in the film. He's your sidekick, hunchback dude, who is a shit-hot, like religiously good mechanic, and it would have. I'm pretty sure he was the one that either gave her the car or gave her the arm. But would have made a lot more fucking sense if somebody had built it, if it had some kind of weight to it.
Yeah, it's a sort of pivotal part to her. I mean, it's even painted on the side of the war rig, the second raid. Like it's a skeleton arm, and that's kind of like that's got a story behind it. And I'm like, oh, okay, that was a strange kind of bit at this. By that stage, I'm like, I've gone now. I don't care. I want them to finish. I want her to get her revenge and then move on. And that's where it was starting to lose me a little bit, and I'm like, ugh.
The whole thing with Preatorian Jack and him being punished by, essentially being dragged for hours, I guess. I don't know. Like, that's a sequence that you kind of initially you go, oh, that's a bit rough. But then I found myself going, either show me a fucking reaction shot or give me some emotion to this, because it now just feels like Dementor sat on top of his car for 3 hours doing nothing while, this person got dragged along.
Mm.
And I understand the need to not show Furiosa because she's in the process of ripping her arm off. But it, to me, I don't know, it just felt like a really weird way of showing something that probably should have been a really pivotal moment for her.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get it from her perspective. We got it from a bored Dementor's perspective.
Yeah, yeah. And if there's going to be an event that says, fuck, I'm going to fight even harder now, and I'm going to fight hard enough to rip my own fucking arm off,
Yeah, there
it
was
would have been
no
nice to have seen that.
emotional beats for us to connect to through the characters.
Mm.
It's like if you're giving us this scene from the perspective of someone that's bored and not watching it, then we are bored because we are not watching it.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
You kind of have to show us how to feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Furiosa is a tale that is going to continue to extract opinions from people left, right, and center. Do you think there'll be another Mad Max story saga?
I mean, we had to wait 9 years between drinks for this one, so I wouldn't hold your breath.
And also it's made not great bank in America. Worst Memorial Day opening weekend in the last 10 years or something like that.
That's strange. Like, I mean, I don't have any of the problems with the movie just because it's centered around a female character at all. Like, the movie is not a problem because of that. It's got other more structural things that are going on. Does it still look fabulous? Yeah. I mean, there's cool shit in there. There's great ideas. It's like, yeah, it's a lot of cool ideas tenuously pulled together, and sometimes that kind of, just spaghetti works, and other times it kind of falls apart and doesn't really hold its shape.
Yeah, but like I made an observation when we watched the movie of like, would this have any sort of let's get bums in seats if it didn't have two Hollywood stars in the lead? Like, would this have the same pull if it didn't have Hemsworth and Anya in it?
And I mean, they're very forefronted on this kind of thing, like on the marketing images and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I see it there versus, the last one, which was kind of the same, but I felt like it had a little bit more like, you've got to go see Mad Max Fury Road because of the stunts. And there was that sort of stuff behind it, and it was an interesting look. And this had the same kind of thing. But yeah, when I got in there and I watched it, I'm like, I want to go back and watch it again and watch those stunts and watch those kind of action pieces, because I'm actually curious to go back and see how they feel again, much like watching Fury Road.
I found it interesting because this, to me, it felt like this film and The Fall Guy were almost companion pieces. Half of the cast of this showed up in various different roles in The Fall Guy. But also like the whole concept of a stunt heavy sci-fi film made in Australia. I kind of looked at it and went, there's definitely some kind of reflecting happening here.
I had a lot of...
Well, they were both being shot at the same time, so...
And I'm pretty sure it had half the same fucking stunt crew.
I really, I watched Fall Guy the other day, and I was like, this is actually very good. Like, it's funny. It's tongue-in-cheek. It's Australian. It's got a lot of... And they all knew that they were just making a piece of weird science fiction fun, and they were having fun doing it. And
yeah, once again, I say, if people go, if you're not sure, go and read the review that I wrote about it, because the experience that Jill and I had was watching The Fall Guy in a cinema filled with stunties who'd worked on it.
Yeah.
They fucking loved it.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Losing their shit left, right, and center.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about this.
Well, that's the end of it. That's the end of May.
It's not going to be May anymore.
It's not going to be May. Yeah, but we haven't even decided what we're doing. Well, I won't be here for a lot of July. June. Fuck. June.
June comes after May.
That should give you an idea into my state of mind at the moment. I don't know what fucking month it is, but I won't be here for most of the month.
I reckon at some point in time we may have a look at Atlas, which has just started streaming on Netflix because it's just started streaming on Netflix.
Is it a series or a movie?
The movie.
Oh,
Single
okay.
movie.
Excellent. That's all I've got time for. For the next show, I've got one show on the 4th, and that's me out till July.
Born on the 4th of July.
So we're doing Atlas. Is that what we're doing next week?
I think
Probably.
we'll do Atlas next week.
Excellent.
Yeah.
We've
Nice
made
and
an
easy.
executive decision. Peter doesn't get a vote, so she has to go and watch Atlas.
Yeah.
Well, she isn't
Sorry,
here.
Pete. And then we'll of course let you know what's on for the rest of the month very, very shortly. When with all of our socials and stuff.
Apparently,
like
Atlas is getting slammed in the reviews and not doing so well, but that's fine.
Well, no shit. It's a fucking Ghost in the Shell ripoff. Like, come on.
that. Uh-huh. I think
Excellent.
it looked an awful lot more like not Helldivers. What's the other one where you got a giant mech, Dion? The game.
Oh,
There's
Evangelion?
too many.
No. Like the game where
Mech
you
Warrior?
no, where you run around sometimes and then you call down your big fucking mech and jump in it and
Oh, Titanfall?
Titanfall.
Right.
Yeah, I think that it's like Titanfall the movie. So we will see. And
Well,
you
I
know
mean,
what?
The only other things I've seen recently have been Civil War or Boy Kills World, or Challenges, and Sugar. That's it. So they're the only things I can actually
Sugar
talk
we
about.
might have a talk about too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, fair enough. But is it Atlas next week? Are we going to confirm that now?
Confirmed. Lock it in, Larry. Let's just talk about giant mechs and shit.
Yes. Yeah, Titan. I've got to. Yes, Karina. Boy Kills World was very strange.
That's not what she said.
Yeah. Yes. And Bridgerton. No, we're not past Bridgerton. Everyone is allowed to watch Bridgerton.
All sorts of other stuff out in the world. I'm going to recommend, because I'm a big old animation nerd. So anyone who watched Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, which is like an animated Jurassic Park show, which aimed at kids, which sounds like things that shouldn't go together. There's a new season of a new show, which is it's the sequel to it, and it's even darker. And I'm like, oh shit, they're really ramping up. Like the whole people get eaten and maimed and killed by dinosaurs in a kids show.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you like your dinosaurs and you like your Jurassic World stuff, it's quite good.
So I saw the title card for it. I thought, oh, that looks very sweet. I'll give it a miss.
Like Camp Cretaceous was real cute, but Chaos Theory is not.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it a great deal. It goes way harder than it should have done.
Don't forget Acolyte comes out next week, I think.
Oh yeah. So we will definitely be reviewing that without you, Dion.
Sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense because it'll be shorter than if it was with me.
Yeah. I just expect you to have exactly the same reaction to that Jill did to this movie, which is like, I'm just bored. I don't care anymore.
About Star Wars? How could you be
Yeah.
bored? There's so much wonderful things to see and do.
That's what I want from you, Dion. I want you to find the essential boredom.
The essential boredom?
Yes.
Fine.
Oh, and Adsky's now talking animation about the last episode of Bluey. Yeah, that shit was powerful, yo.
What's Bluey? Anyway, we should go. We should go. Let everyone go. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for the chat. Look, hey, if you love it, like if you love Fury Road, not Fury Road, Furiosa, amazing. If you didn't like
Yeah.
Furiosa, it's also amazing.
Yes.
I'm
yes,
very happy they
so
made
many
it, though.
opinions.
You know, I want to see more.
You know what I'm glad of? I'm glad that there is a large, like, franchise Australian movie thing.
Yeah.
Like, that given the right amount of stuff could continue making big budget, like, tentpole kind of action-y films that are specifically Australian. That's something I do really like about it. And I would like them to keep leaning in on that Australian-ness.
Yes. Lean in.
Yes. Dinky D.
Fuck
Yeah.
off with your dinky D's. All right. On that note, we're going to leave now. We'll see you all later. Bye.
Bye.
I wanna live in a world full of heroes, not sit here counting zeros in a cubicle downtown. I wanna look out my window, see 'em flying, and swing across the horizon as I cheer 'em on so proud. Deep-powered girl keeps staring at her face, and call Colossus and have him teach me ways, and then we'd exercise. I'd be one of the guys. Martial arts from Iron Fist and Wall, I'll dap her up and teach her all my songs. Oh,